Okay, something a little different for the channel today. This is the Eachine QX95s, and as you can see, it's sort of the dead cat, is this one the frog one or the dead cat? I can't make up my mind anyway. It's that sort of style anyway. You can see it's just not a true X style by any means. It just looks really nice and so tiny and flimsy, but I think it will be absolutely fine. Now, the reason I'm saying it's tiny and flimsy is when I compare it up to some of my other ones of this size and the brushless ones, you've got the stack in here, you've got everything sort of really industrial, I would say. It takes 2 or 3S batteries, you know, seriously powerful piece of kit. And then you got this. Now, there's just such a huge difference, but they're both very flyable and going to be both very enjoyable, I hope. Anyway, I haven't flown this one as yet. Let me compare the weights for you so I can show you some other facts about it. So just going to pop that down there. I'm just going to pop that on the top so it just keeps them off the bench. And then this little one is coming in, and you could literally feel that it is really light in your hand. It's 42 grams. And then if I put this one on here, and just pop that in there, you're up around 70 grams, so nearly twice the weight, not quite, but you can actually feel it in your hand, and so that's going to need a lot more power to fly and everything else, but I think this is going to be really good fun. Anyway, let's move on with what we got here. So you know this isn't a techie channel. I'm just going to read a lot of the specs off for you. There are things that I can check, like the motors. They're 8520s, so 8.5mm diameter and they're 20mm long, so a nice standard motor. They're plug and play, which I really like, and as you can see, to identify which motor goes in which direction, you've got the different coloured cables. So you've got black and white, or you've got the red and blue, so really nice and easy. I like simple stuff, it works well. You've got a micro USB in there for setting up in Betaflight, but I'm going to hopefully connect this up and not go into Betaflight. That's my theory with this. I'm trying to find quads that are really simple for people who don't want to touch around with Betaflight, connect them up to a transmitter, get out there and fly. It's the flying bit that really interests me. The interesting thing I noticed on it is the props are different front to rear, and I did sort of take a double take on it. I thought, no, I must be seeing things, but no, they are totally different, as you can see. I'd be interested, you know, after I've done my flights and done the review, I will just either swap them round or I actually put the same ones that are on the back onto the front. These just look like the Hubson's ones to me, and I've come across these ones before as well. And if I can find any spares or anything I think a bit better, then I'll pop them on as well. It's a nice little frame. Let's get some measurements of that frame for you. So carbon fibre, and we've got, it's 1.5mm on the actual base frame, and then the top frame is actually 1mm. So, and again, this is just all this stuff with the lightness on it. The VTX looks pretty good. You got a little bit of movement there, where the actual antenna comes up through there. You don't get an awful lot, and it is pretty rock solid that on that bit there, so you'd have to be careful how far you move it. I think where they've set it is probably absolutely fine. You've got a little screw there that you can undo with an Allen key, and they actually give you the Allen key as well, which I'm quite impressed with. I did just have a quick run around it just to make sure everything was tight, and it was just slightly loose, I would say. I'm not too sure it would have come undone, but I've just nipped them up just a wee bit, so a bit better. But yes, movement there wouldn't be that much. It's a 600 TVL, and it's a 1/4 inch CMOS, and it says it's HD quality on it, so I think it's slightly vulnerable there because it's not protected like my other ones, but I think it'll be fine. We'll soon see when I actually get it out and flying. It comes with a buzzer, and also you've got OSD as well, which is pretty good. It's a F3 flight controller on it, and it's in Betaflight. It's setup is the omnibus one as well, but like I say, I'm trying to avoid Betaflight if I can. If it needs any altering, then obviously I'll give it a go. Got nice bright LEDs on the back, and you actually get a 450 milliamp hour, and this is the one that's the 3.8 instead of a 3.7, so a little bit more longer power hopefully, and it runs at 30C. So again, nothing huge about this, but like I say, pop that on. Those LEDs are awesome on the back, so actually doing line of sight flying should be a little bit of fun with it as well. and all the other LEDs that are coming on as well. Nothing at the front, it's just purely this beautiful array at the back here. You get a charger for it, which is just a USB one, and then it's a lossy micro connector on there, and I've got loads of different little batteries that will fit this, being a single cell as well, which should be great. You get a prop removal tool, which is a little carbon fibre one, just slots in there nicely, so you hold the motor down and then pull it up, which would be good. You get a complete set of spare props, so you got 2 front and 2 rear, so and like I say, they're just different, and I don't know why we wound up with all black on these, but it's just the way they've come. A couple of spare screws as well, which is rather good. That might be why they left them loose, so they can lose a couple. See, I can see their marketing ploy here quite easily. A couple of bits of Velcro, so it goes onto the battery, holds it underneath, and a couple of little elastic bands there that go completely round, and then you can hold the battery in position as well. And that's basically all the spares you get, and that's basically all you really need. So let's just get this bound up to my Tyrannus. As you know, this isn't a techie channel. I've just literally set up a new model on the Tyrannus, and I've actually put a couple of my switches on, 5 and 6 I think it is, but I've just literally done it really basically, and I'm just going to see how we get on with this. This one actually binds really nicely, nice and easy. I can even get my thumbnail just into there to get hold of it, or you could actually get your finger in there, so there's no fiddling around. You don't have to take the top plate off either. That's what I sort of finding about it. It's really open sort of system. I've put the power just so it's nearly touching, but we haven't powered up yet. I'm just literally going to go into bind. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that button down in there. I'm just going to try and get the power on as well. Trying to do this all on camera is always hilarious. There we go. So it's sort of holding in position there. Hopefully that was enough to get us bound. And we got flashing green there, so I think we're all done. Take the power off, get it out of bind, and there, if I connect it back up, yeah, we've got a nice green LED there, so we should be all good to go. And this should arm it. Yeah, we're getting beeps and everything off here that we're actually armed, so that's good. And then there we go. Yeah, so that was working well. Yeah, everything's good. Okay, I'm impressed with this already. I just literally set these 2 switches, which is what I normally have. So this arms it, and then this one I usually have as the mode changes. So armed, and its default is acro, and then you put it into the middle one, it goes into stabilised, and then goes into air once we actually go down there. Obviously, I haven't actually been into Betaflight at all, and I think it's ready to fly. Yes! Okay, out for my first play with this. I'm going to fly it, a bit of line of sight, and just see how we get on. The switch is wound up in a position that I don't usually use, so this is stabilised, up is acro and down is air, so we'll just see how we get on. But the back LEDs, I hadn't really spotted them indoors, but I don't know if anyone's that old who watches the channel, but this reminds me of Kit off Knight Rider with the if I could use that theme music, it would be great, and wouldn't mean anything to most of the people that watch, I expect, but hey, it's fun for me. So I'm going to arm it, and like I said, this hasn't been through Betaflight, this hasn't been anywhere at all, so this is just literally straight out and fun, and I'm hoping it is going to be fun. Oh, by the way, the LEDs, as you give it stick inputs, so if I put left and right on it, you get these sort of indicators going on it. So left gives you that one, and right, and put it back and they change. It's quite amazing, so cool stuff. Got a little bit of a drift on it actually. That's fine. So this is definitely in stabilised mode, as you can see. I can crank the stick as far as I like, and it will not go around a loop or anything like that, unless you kill the throttle. So let's see where we can loop it. Oh yeah, we can loop it. Absolutely no problem at all. Oh, nice little gentle slow loops as well. And this thing recovers well as well. Definitely needs a little bit of calibration on the, definitely drifting off to the right, but I didn't have it on somewhere level. I was just holding it in my hand while I did it. It is 0 degrees today. As you can see, the frost isn't clearing at all. With loads of flips. Lovely stuff. Really nice little flyer. Okay, let's try it in acro. Well, it flies nice in acro as well. Oh yeah, lovely. I don't like acro line of sight usually.
That works pretty damn well. I'm going to pop it into air mode as well. And for what it is, it gets a little bit of a move on, I tell you. It's a bit of fun, I tell you. What's this, 40 quid? Very nice indeed. Well, up, kill that through. Whoops. I shot a prop off. That was what the problem was. I don't even see that we got a prop shot off there. I did think when I whipped it back in, something came off. The props are only friction hold, so you just literally push them on. So that could well be where the problem was. I've got no chance of finding that. So we're going to put another prop on.
Okay, so first FPV flight, let's see how we get on. So really nice, actually. You just take off and you just feel nice and confident with it. I mean, and bear in mind, this has not been to Betaflight. I've done nothing with it at all. It's not even been plugged into the computer. I literally connected it to my transmitter, put a couple of switches on as I showed you, and that's it. And it flies really nicely. I thought the quality off the screen of the video was good, and no problems at all with that. I used two different sets of goggles over my sort of test flights, and I managed to do those over a couple of days. Now that kick out and sort of drop there, I think is because I've been flying lots of little micro and mini brushless ones, and I think this is a different sort of little beast, to be honest, and it has got loads of go in it, to be honest. I've really enjoyed it, but I think if you don't keep the power up a wee bit, you just have an issue there. Now here I clipped the trees and I wound up flying through an area I never fly through because that is just thick with very thin branches. As you can see, we managed to get through. Then flick it up into air and give it a little go, and in through the flights you'll see I do get a bit of a move on it, but honestly I don't think I ever sort of cranked it fully over. I think it would give even more, and it's a fair old speed. I mean, when you watch these things back, they never look as fast as when you're actually doing them, but it is really good and really controllable. You could just, you know, I was trying to sort of skim the ground here, and you really can. I was literally just clipping the grass, and just sheer fun to fly, to be perfectly honest. Control was absolutely brilliant, and there you saw it didn't sort of drop in at the last second, so I must have kept the throttle up a wee bit, because if you don't, it definitely will pull in. Oh, that was me trying to do a roll, and it didn't go quite so well. I never seem to commit to rolls when I'm flying FPV. I always get a little nervous when I'm just about to do it, and that's not the things to do with the roll. So second flight out, just managed to, I'm just running the battery out, to be honest. So I give it straight into air really, and we're just going to have a play around in air around the garden, and it is really nice. And there'll probably be a couple of those sort of dropouts I was saying. As I, and that was my durability test for you. So what I've decided there was to hit the tree, drop down to the ground, see whether there's any damage without moving, obviously. I'm not going to get off my backside and move. Flick it in, stabilise, take off again. Actually did it fine, so it's not bothered, I'm not bothered. There is a little bit of jello come on, so I think I've sort of perhaps dislodged the actual camera unit just slightly, but to be honest, I couldn't notice anything when I brought it back in. It's absolutely fine and flies really nicely, as you can see. And it sort of do this sort of powered dive into the garden, and there it recovered, you see, because I think I was keeping a bit more throttle on. It's just a difference, I would imagine, between the brushed and the brushless motors, and also how much power it can draw off a little one cell, which is what this is doing.
Okay, so what do I think of it? Well, do you all want to shout at your screens after 3? Yes, I love it. You're absolutely right. It's brilliant. I've had a blast with it. I was a bit nervous at the beginning, to be perfectly honest. I thought I've been flying brushless ones, 2 and 3 cells, and you know, all those sort of things. And then you come back to a £40 quad with you know, brushed motors. The props didn't look anything, you know, and you just sort of you get sucked into all what the brushless ones are and what they do and everything. Actually, this thing is a blast. Like I say, 40 quid's worth. It's got everything on it. It does everything, and it's just an enjoyable flying machine. And that's, to be honest, what I want. And another huge thing you don't have to do with it is take it into Betaflight. This hasn't been near my computer at all, and I don't think I'll be changing anything on it. I'm not seeing any benefits at the moment to change anything, so I'm very happy with it indeed. Everything still works on it, and I've lost a couple of props, obviously. Now there's pros and cons with the props that they do push on quite tightly, but they have spun off anything that when I've had an accident, probably 1 in 3 accidents, a prop comes off. Sometimes I find it, sometimes I don't. But they are very dark props. I would have some very brightly coloured ones when I do some further work on it, I would imagine. So there's benefits, like I say. If the prop comes off, it's not straining the motor. So if the motor's still spinning and I hit foliage, I got a lot of twigs in the garden, hit that and it gets tangled up. If it's spinning around, I'm going to burn something on the board or ruin the motor, and that will happen instantaneously almost. If the props can spin loose or actually come out, it's not going to do that. So for me, for a very cheap prop, or the fact of possibly burning something on the board, I'd rather lose the prop, to be perfectly honest. That's the way I would view it anyway. Certainly on something like this, everything seems very nice on it. The only one thing that I have noticed is the actual buzzer, and I've sort of wedged it in there now, but it's quite free moving through this hole they've put there. They haven't held it at all. When it pops right the way down, it can sort of float out either side, and it could get near a prop. I think the props will push it out of the way, but I don't think that's particularly good. A little bit hot glue underneath or on the top there. That will soon keep it in position. It won't go anywhere. The buzzer works really well, and actually when I went and it dropped into the woods, the LEDs all round, I mean they are everywhere on it, you can see them. It stands out really nice and bright, which is good. If you want to make the buzzer go off, just turn the transmitter off and then it does it. Or you could take it into Betaflight and you could put one of your switches that it would do it. But I didn't manage to find that without taking it in Betaflight, and I haven't taken it in Betaflight, so but I don't have an issue with that. Just kill the transmitter and then it'll start beeping as an alert anyway. To be honest, I found it every time with the light. I didn't need the beeper whatsoever. Now the dropout, when we do sort of bank turn quite tight in acro and it suddenly just sort of rolls over like that, you can easily get around that. Just keep giving that throttle just a wee bit, and you actually start to pre-think your bend, which I really enjoyed. It sort of put a bit of a challenge in there. Go on then, can you do that and turn in there really tight? Yeah, I can. I'm going to need a bit more throttle. You give it a heads up and it goes smooth. You can just, and when you come out of that turn, you actually got a whacking great grin on your face because you've actually dealt with it, sort of thing. There's probably techie guys out there who can sort that out with the PID tuning or something like that, but to be honest, I'm quite happy learning to fly it. It's just good. And with the techie stuff, I don't have any issues, and I'm really glad there's guys out there, because I've looked at the channels and they explain things and understand things that are way beyond me. It just leaves me cold. I just don't get any enjoyment sitting on a computer plugging it in and changing this and putting that switch on and this switch on and everything else. Does nothing for me. It's it's for other people as far as I'm concerned, and I'm glad they're out there because they share their PIDs and everything else. If I need to alter anything, I can do it as well. So yeah, big thumbs up to them, and thanks for sharing their stuff. Just not really my bag, probably because I don't understand it. It's beyond me. Right, okay, so there we go. So yes, if you're after 40 quid's worth of sheer entertainment that will probably last a heck of a long time, then this might well be for you.